Tanya Lee Perkins, welcome to Profile.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How are you? How's today?
I'm good. Hectic but good day.
And in the middle of doing work related to the field as well?
In the middle of doing work. There's a lot happening, and even coming up for this weekend. Lots of sports, lots of planning. Yeah.
And
hectic.
Sports, in many ways, has been your life, certainly a big part of your career.
A massive part of my career, to the point at which I don't even know where my job starts and where it ends. It's just like a life passion that has consumed me.
And this is because you spent over 20 years in marketing, in sports management and athlete management as well, sports marketing and athlete management as well, including years spent at Sportsmax as vice president of marketing, which we really have to talk about. You're now running your own company, Leap Marketing as well. You are an author.
Yes.
You're a model. You were once a teacher.
Yes.
You were a research
Kingston
assistant.
College and Merle Grove.
You were also a research assistant.
Yes.
I want to go through all of it, but I want to figure out what is that passion of sports about?
I don't know. I often get asked, like, how did this love for sports start? And I'm going to date it back to my father, who was a huge cricket fan. I think growing up, Daddy kind of centered his life around cricket. So I feel like he just always sat his girls watching TV, while we're spending time together. I'd always be watching cricket. So it just became like a love of mine to watch cricket. Then I was at sporting events. And I just think that's where the love for sports really blossomed as a child. And
a very tight-knit family as well. Let's talk a little bit about growing up in St. Catherine.
Yes, largely in St. Catherine. Parents were, my mom was an exec assistant. My dad was a soldier with the JDF for many years. Married, had all girls between them.
4?
Yes. And eventually, my parents had broken up, and so I had grown up since 5 onwards with a single parent household with my mom. And it was interesting because we spent most of our years in St. Catherine. My mom was originally from Old Harbour in St. Catherine, and so I spent some time there, spent some time in Portmore before that with my mom and dad. Spent, I would say, a significant portion of my years in Spanish Town, and we very humble beginnings, so we moved around a lot. I mean, we lived from I was probably 9 to like 18. I'd lived in Elton Park, Elton View, in some city, Hampton Green, Highfield, just lots of movement because, of course, it was rough for my mom. But it was a period of my life that shaped me, I would say.
Because you say your mom was a sort of a big force in your family overall.
You know what my mom was? My mom was a lover of books. My mom was an avid reader. My mom was a very smart woman, and she kind of inculcated that in all her girls. So all my gifts growing up were books. Everything was a book. It's not a doll, it's a book. And so the love of reading was something that we had in our family. I remember even in school, while we moved around and I had to start a new primary school here or there. I remember when we lived in Old Harbour, I started at Marley Mount Primary. I was supposed to be in the basic school, and they said, but she reads very well, there's no way. So I had skipped a couple of basic school classes. I went straight into grade 1 at primary school. I remember them wanting me to skip as well and go to grade 3, but I didn't want to climb the stairs. I was afraid of heights as a child. So I stayed back. But reading was a huge part of our family. And I think it speaks a lot to who I became as I grew.
And Mom spent a lot of time pushing all of you, making you understand that you had to get ahead. What was she saying? How was she doing it?
My mom was one of those encouraging moms in the sense that, so we were all A students, to be very honest with you. She had very bright kids, always first in the class, etc. And typically she'd look at a report card and it wasn't something that you'd ever hear her boasting about, but she would just quietly say, proud of you, you're doing well. So she was quietly encouraging. And one of the things I vividly remember is that my mother used to always say, whatever you're doing, aim higher. So I remember vividly a conversation I had with her once. She was sweeping in the living room and she said, Tanya, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said to her, I want to do what you're doing. And she said, no, aim higher. Think of something else and aim higher. So that was a feature of growing up. My dad was like that too. He's going to look at a report card and say, wait, you're not doing so well in drama. What's going on for the drama? So he's finding something that he thinks an area you can improve on. So I think a part of that shapes me and the idea that I'm always thinking, how can I do better at what I'm doing?
Which is why I find it interesting that you ended up in sports, because when you think of not just what you have done, but also what you aspired to do. So, journalist.
Yes.
Lawyer.
Yes.
Nobel Prize winner.
I thought I would eventually go into being an author, and that I was just going to churn out book after book after book, which is why I did literatures in English at the university.
But when you left St. Hugh's High, the plan there was law.
The plan was law. It didn't happen. I must tell you, I had a rough final year, and things were not so comfortable during the time when I had to sit my examinations, and I didn't do as well. I passed all my A-levels to date myself, but I didn't do as well as I thought I would, and I didn't get into law school. And at the time, I remember I got into my second choice, which was political science, sat in class with Dr. Trevor Monroe for a day, and I said, I don't think this is what I want to do. I want to write. So I went over to literatures in English, switched my major, did a double major in English and philosophy, and yeah.
But you had always written, though, even in high school. Even
in high school, I remember winning a poetry competition. I remember winning lots of reading competitions, even in the Jamaica Library Service, to the point at which once a librarian came and said, Tanya, you need to sit this out. You're winning every year. It used to be on JBC, by the way, that reading competition. And so reading was always something I loved. And then eventually, I remember in 2018, I said, Tanya, you really haven't used this gift, so to speak. And so I wrote one book, The Winner Within, which was a motivational read for young athletes, was really what I had in mind, to kind of use the experiences I had in sports throughout the years to really push them to achieve their greatness. Because I'd been fortunate enough through my years with SportsMax and through my job to meet so many different sports people. I mean, a LeBron James, a Steph Curry, everybody you can think of in cricket, across track and field. At one point, Usain Bolt was a neighbor of mine in Mono. So I felt like it was good to just capture a lot of that knowledge of what really makes a winner, and to put it out there for young people. And I found that it had inspired people even beyond what I thought. And yeah.
But that came at the tail end of the SportsMax experience. So you love sports, you have all of these different kind of things that you want to do. But sports was never what you did when you actually left the university.
No, most of us don't.
You became a teacher.
I feel like most of us don't end up in what we wanted to do. But can I give you a story, Archie? I always wanted to do sports. In fact, right out of university, I wanted to be a sports writer at the Gleno. I had a few friends who were doing literatures in English at the time. Paul Andre Walker, Kwesi Mugiso, they were hired at the Gleno. And I remember then editor Garfield Granis, and I used to stand by the office. Sometimes I'd go there in the evenings. I tried to churn out a little story, hoping to be hired, and I wasn't hired. I can tell you that I even applied at a free-to-air station. It's not TVJ. And they gave me a sports quiz to do. I thought that was pretty funny. Like, did they think that a woman doesn't know sports? I aced it, didn't get the job. So I made many attempts to get into the field. Okay. And I remember eventually seeing SportsMax, sending an application in, doing an interview, being told I was hired, and Archie, I was so excited, I went and quit my job.
You quit your job?
Before even getting an offer letter. That was how excited I was and how desperate I was to work in sports. I quit my job just on the offer of a job without the job letter. I was young. I was pretty young. And I stayed home for 6 months because I did not get that call back. And during that time, I remember thinking this is going to work out. And it did.
Where does that come from? This is going to work out, because we're eventually going to come to the story of Leap, but that is also the same sort of attitude that you know is you can see throughout your life. But where does that come from? It will work out.
You know what? I think it's from my humble upbringings. I think it's from seeing my mom struggle with us growing up. And just knowing that we always found a way, and it always worked out eventually, no matter how hard it got. She was a strong woman. She had a lot of self-belief and confidence in what she was doing. And I kind of adopted that attitude as a young girl watching my mom. So I think that's where it came from. I just have this confidence. Sometimes I do things that I say, Tanya, what were you thinking? But it's like, I feel like it's important in life to take risks, calculated risks, and I'm happy to take them, because I think often I set these targets that I want to meet. It's something I've been doing all my life. Every summer, my mom can tell you, I have a book, and I would write in it what I'm doing for the summer, what I want to achieve, and I'm working in the summer to achieve all of those things. So it was always something that I did. So I have that confidence in my ability to rise above everything.
I want to talk a little bit about that journey at Sportsmax, because that is a remarkable journey by itself. And there's a photo in particular that I want to mention. It's on her Instagram page. Go there and look it up. It's quite a thing. My guest is the head of Leap Marketing, marketing consultant and athlete manager, author, and newspaper columnist Tanya Lee Perkins. We're back with you on Profile after these messages.